Hello friends, welcome to Awaken Classes. Today we are going to discuss about design of steel beam. It is presented by me, Harsh Mahajan. Before going for our lecture, there is one announcement to make. We are going to start a new live interactive class on design of reinforcement concrete structure. Topics will be covered from basics of material to design of footing. Every topic is covered from basics to advanced with all good detailing in drawing practices. Few lectures will be on RCC design in State Pro. I will also cover previous year questions from GATE, Engineering Service Exam and Civil Service Examinations. Duration of the whole course is only about 1 month. Everyday class will be there from Monday to Friday, 1 hour class. First two classes are free. Please feel free to join and contact. Batches are starting from 20th May 2021. Links is in the description. So this is a basic lecture plan for steel design course, and here we find the design of beam. Covering the whole design of beam requires a good amount of time, but right now I'm just focused on designing a simply supported beam. So we are taking one numerical. We will see step by step how to design a simply supported beam using Indian Standard Code. So let's begin. Now we are considering a simply supported beam here of 8 meter. It is carrying a RC floor. So a reinforced concrete floor is actually we have put it on the steel beam. Now this condition where RC floors are constructed above the reinforced above the steel beam is actually a condition known as laterally restrained steel beam. What happens that, so let's assume this is our beam. This is our beam. I section is there. Okay, we have provided I section. Let's assume. So if I put something over it, some connections are there. Let's assume this is a concrete slab. You have provided some kind of connection. So this flange portion is actually unable to move in lateral directions because it is restrained by this slab. That's why RC floor, if we are going to put it, some connection will be there, and hence we can consider it as a laterally restrained beam. So these kind of beams are common in the examinations, but if laterally unrestrained beams are there, then small changes will be possible in design, and almost all its steps are basically the same. These are the loading condition. So there is one UDL dead load about 10 kN per meter, and imposed load of UDL is 20 kN per meter. One point load at the middle due to dead load, let's say some kind of machinery, and there is one imposed load also 40 kN. So these are the loading conditions here. This is the basic figure for our beam. So what are the basic steps? So first we have to calculate the factored load. So whatever we are getting there is our service load. After that we will calculate the moment, then after shear. Once the moment is done, then we find the required section modulus, and we will select a section, like which section, I section, then which kind of section we are going to use. We choose one section, then we check it for the shear strength. Once it is passed, then we will recheck for the moment capacity based on the shear strength criteria. After that we will check for the serviceability, which is our deflection criteria. Lastly, we will check the web buckling and web bearing at the support. So step number 1, calculation for factored load, moment and shear. So this is the table number 4 from Indian Standard 800. You can see these are the combinations are provided for limit state of the strength. Remember, we are considering right now for strength, not for the serviceability. For strength means for moment and for shear. So when we see, then for the combination of dead load, live load plus crane load, so crane load is not here. For dead load, live load, it is 1.5. For live load, leading is 1.5. So what is the leading? Leading means which is actually present all the time, and accompanying with means after for some time it may accompany the actual live load. So for both 1.5, 1.5 factors are there. Okay. Now come here for the UDL. We calculate the factored load very easily. Just multiply it by 1.5, and we will get the result here. So for moment, as we know that for UDL, the maximum moment will occur at the middle point. For middle point, the value is WL square by 8. Then for point load at the middle, the maximum again occurs at the middle of the section, which is WL by 4. Inputting the value of total UDL, factored UDL, and total factored point load, I am getting the 570 kilonewton meter moment. Similarly, shear forces will be occurring at the reaction portion. Okay, so this is like if we can draw for bending moment, it will like this, and for shear it will be like something like this. So the maximum will occur at the end. Okay. So WL by 2 means just due to symmetry we can just divide the whole load by 2. There are two supports. So, and W by 2 will be the load distribution due to point. So this is 45 kilonewton per meter into length of span divided by 2 and point load divided by 2. So this is the maximum shear force occurring. Okay, remember we are designing for the maximum moment and maximum shear. We are checking our section to be adequate for this moment and shear. Step number 2, determination of required section modulus and selection of section. Now this is we are actually try to figure out the plastic section modulus required. So if we can see, then this is our basic bending moment, bending stress equation. Okay, so I by y is our z. So just dividing the moment by factored strength, we can find out the required plastic moment. So from here, 2508 into 10 to power 3 mm cube is my required section requirement. Partial safety factor gamma MO is taken as 1.1 from table number 5, governed by yielding. So we are designing the beam. In beam there will be this kind of stresses, and the plastic will be like this, but the maximum we want to limit it for Fy only. So that's why we are governing our whole design on yielding. That's why we are taking 1.1 section. Second is what is the grade of steel we are taking. So IS 2062 to 2011, there is a table number 2 for the mechanical properties. This table is also available in IS 800. Here you see the grade designation is written like this, E250. Then there is a quality ABC. Okay, but the yield stress and tensile stress will be limited to this only. That it depends on the maximum thickness of the structure. So we are considering that the maximum thickness will be less than 20. That's why we are considering Fi as 250. So you can write it like this, that we are using IS 2062 grade E 250 quality C. Okay, so this is the required Z plastic. For plastic modulus, to, we can go back to Annexure H in IS 800 2007. Here you can find the plastic modulus section. Okay, so we require 2508 mm 10 to power mm cube, which can be like written like centimeter cube. Okay, so centimeter cube we can find like these are greater than 2508. This one. But I am selecting a bigger section so that in next section my beam does not fail in any case. Okay, secondly, we have not considered the self weight. So for self weight also ZP required will be higher. That's why I am considering a higher modulus beam. So we are taking ISWB 550. These are the properties directly taken from the table. Okay. So this is the weight. We will consider it for moment and shear calculation again. Sectional area, depth, width of the flange, and section modulus. This is the elastic modulus and the plastic modulus. So this is the drawing of the section. Okay, this is the to the scale drawing. Okay, we have the width of 250. Then this is the root radius of 16. Whole depth of the section is 550. Thickness of the wave, thickness of the flange. Okay, so upper flange is known as compressive flange, which is actually restrained by the concrete slab we have put it. Okay, so we are considering it as a laterally restrained. So this is the properties of the section. Once we selected the section ISWB 550, we have to classify the section in plastic, compact or semi-compact. So what does the plastic means? It means that our section will fully develop the plastic hinges before fail in the local buckling. Okay, the definitions you can find in IS 800. Now, for section classification, we are considering the roll section, and secondly, our natural axis, it is the mid depth because the loadings are symmetrical and the section is also symmetrical. Now, the ratio will be B by TF, okay, and the B by TF, so B is the half of the width of flange, so it is 125 and TF is 17.6. Epsilon is 250 divided by Fi. Our Fi is also 250, that's why epsilon is 1. And this ratio is coming less than 9.4, that's why our flange can be considered as plastic. Now for the wave of the section, we have to calculate depth by thickness of wave ratio. So this D is actually the depth of flange on wave only. Depth of wave is equals to total height minus thickness of flange and this curvature here of radius. So here you can see the equation: total depth minus 2 times of thickness of flange, which is 17.6, and root radius. So this ratio is coming less than, okay, so there is some problem, 84 epsilon. That's why this can be considered as plastic. So the whole section is plastic now. So our whole design will be based on this fact that our section is plastic. It can have plastic flange before going for local buckling failures. Now it's time to update the factored moment and shear. So we are calculating it for the self weight. Now we know that 112.5 kilogram per meter is the self weight of the section. It is in kg. To convert it into the kilonewton, so this is the factor g divided by 1000. So this will be the 1.1036. It is again UDL. The self weight is like UDL only. So factored is 1.5. Okay. Then next will be moment due to self weight, which is WL square by 8, because the self weight is acting as a UDL, and self weight shear will be like this. So this is a very simple calculations. Okay, we remember it for our next sections. Third step, check for shear strength. So before checking the strength of the section, we will check what is the applied force. So shear force is that calculated due to applied load, and second calculated due to self weight. Now the whole shear force acting on the section, it is the maximum shear force acting on the section, which is equals to 239.12 kilonewton. Now for shear strength of the section, we will see section number 8.4 from IS 800 2007. It is say here that our design shear force, this value, should be less than design strength. Design strength is equals to Vn divided by gamma mo, and from the previous slide we know that gamma mo is 1.1. Next is that Vn will be equals to Vp, and Vp is given by this area of the section into Fy, yielding divided by root 3, and for hot roll section it is H into Tw. So we have hot roll section, I section. Now in I section the distribution of the stresses are, shear stresses are like this. Maximum portion of our shear stress is actually taken by the web section only. So in the analysis of steel section for shear, we considered the whole web to carry on the shear forces. We avoid the extra flanges because flange take very little of the shear force. That's why it is the area of resistance will be H into Tw. H is the height of the whole section, which is 550, into Tw, the thickness of the web. 250 is our yielding stress. From here I am getting this value. So 757 kilonewton is far less than 239 kilonewton. Hence our section is safe for the shear. So it can bear the shear easily. For step number 4, we will check the moment capacity of the section. So this is the net moment acting on the section, which is due to UDL and point load plus self weight of the beam. Then we have to make sure that d by Tw should be less than 67 epsilon. So we have calculated this ratio in the previous slide. It is less than 67, hence we can go for this clause 8.2.1.2 of IS 800 2007. When we come here, then clause say when the factor design shear force does not exceed 0.6 VD. So we have calculated VD in the previous section, and 0.6 of the VD is 554, which is greater than 239. This is the factor shear force. Hence, this equation can be used. Okay. Next is the equation. Now, clause provides the value of design moment capacity as ZP into Fy divided by gamma mo, and there will be one factor beta. So for plastic section, beta is equals to 1. So we don't have to do anything here. we have to just calculate by multiplying the ZP by 250, and hence our moment can be calculated here. And also there is one more condition, that to avoid the irreversible deformation under serviceability load. So what happens if we see the stress versus strain curve of a mild steel, then we can see there is a straight line like this and there is some plastic section. So if our material reached to this section and load is removed, there will be a concept known as strain hardening. So there will be some deflection occurs due to the portion which is in the plastic zone. To avoid this, code limits our MD to be 1.2 ZE into Fy by gamma mm. Now ZE is the elastic modulus. So from section table, this is the elastic modulus, which is coming around 742.63, okay, kilonewton meter. Hence MD will be this value only, 696, which is far more greater than our applied moment. Hence our section is safe in bending also. So step number 5, check for deflection. Now for serviceability condition, we are going to consider only live load. And secondly, for serviceability condition, the factor is 1.0. Not 1.5, we do not have to multiply it by 1.5, we have to just take it as it is, because factor for safety is 1.0 for serviceability condition. This is the equation for delta due to UDL, maximum deflection, and maximum deflection due to point load. We required a section second moment of inertia. So I am taking it from this sectional properties provided in IS 2062 for WB 550. Okay. So after calculating the delta total, I am getting the value of about 1 centimeter. Okay, so 1 centimeter deflection will be there in the middle of the hole. Now, what is the limit? So the limit is given here as span divided by 300 for other building vertical deflection. So span by 300 is 26.66 mm. So our delta is very less than the limiting delta, hence our beam is safe, can be considered safe for the serviceability condition. After checking for deflection, moment and shear, our beam is safe. Now we have to check it for the web buckling. What happened that near, so let's assume this is the I section. I'm showing you the elevation. Okay, this is the I section like this, and you just put it on some support. Okay, and now load is applied. Now this time there is some compressive force applied like this due to reaction at the end. Now this wave is susceptible to the buckling. In the whole section there will be no buckling, but at the end there may be some buckling of the wave. So wave will be like this. In the I section, wave may look like this. So we have to check whether our section is safe against this buckling or not. Now for compressive force, it is equals to the reaction forces or maximum shear stress, because at the end this is the reaction applied. Okay. For checking of the web buckling, there is a codal recommendation in 8.7.3 clause. So load carrying wave stiffener should be provided where compressive force applied through the flange by the load or reactions. Okay, so this is the reactions exceeding the buckling strength of the wave. Okay, unstiffened wave. Okay, so right now we didn't put any stiffener or anything. Okay, we have to check whether our buckling strength is enough or we have to provide the wave stiffener. The effective length of the wave To evaluate the slenderness ratio can be calculated from this clause, okay, and the cross section is to be taken b1 plus n1 into tw. In next section we will discuss how to calculate this. Right now I am just reading the coder recommendation, then we will see in practice how to do that. Okay, so b1 is the width of the stiff bearing, like support bearing, and then n1 is the 45-degree load distribution. Now, buckling strength of the wave about the axis parallel to the wave is calculated by this clause using curve C. Okay, so 7.1.2.1, these clauses are for the column design, compression member design. So again, what we are considering our wave as a compression member of this much cross section area. So we are just going to design or check our wave as a compression member of this area to resist the shear stress or the reaction force. Okay. Now for 8.7.1.5 buckling resistance of the stiffener, so there is the value of effective length. So when the flange is restrained against the rotation, okay, so we restrain our flange by using concrete slab that we have put it on. So we have to consider the effective length of the web section as 0.7 L. Okay. Next thing is we have to calculate B1 and 8.7.1.3. So stiff bearing length. B1 is that element cannot deform. So this is like support length only. Okay. So in that direction there will be no deformation occurring due to moment or bending. Okay. And the N1 is, we have to calculate N1 like this, 45-degree reaching to the half length. So this distance, this distance is actually our N1. Okay, so in practice how to do that we will see here. Before going see these figures, so we are considering an element of the web directly from this I section. This is of thickness 10.5. Okay, length of B1 plus N1. So in the previous section we have seen the length of the resisting beam to be B1 plus N1. Okay, and this is the length of the column, which is actually depth of this wave only. Okay. So this is acting like a column, and we have to see whether it will be buckle or not. So right now we don't have any idea about the bearing length or the support, so we are assuming it to be 100 mm. Depth of the wave is calculated by this equation. We have discussed it. It will be 482.8. So we know the length of our column. Considering wave as a column now. So this will be the L. Okay. Then I effective. So I am considering B1 into thickness. Okay. Let's see the cross section like this. This is like B1. This will be thickness 10.5. Okay. This is the axis. So TW's cube into B1 divided by 12. It will be I effective. Area effective will be this area. B1 into TW. From I and A, we are going to calculate radius of gyration, which is I effective by area effective, coming like 3.031 mm. So basically what we are doing here is same as column. For column also we have to calculate I and area, and then we calculate the radius of gyration. After that we will calculate the slenderness ratio. Now for effective length we have the clause that it will be equals to 0.7 into depth of wave if compression flange is restrained. So it will be, the effective length will be this one, and slenderness ratio will be effective length divided by radius of gyration, coming about 111.5. So slenderness ratio is 111.5, and 8.7.3.1 say that for buckling strength of the web, we have to calculate it from curve C. In Indian Standard Code, we can see the table number 9C for buckling class C. Here for KL by R ratio and Fy of 250, we found these values. Okay. Now I have to just linearly interpolate these values for my slenderness ratio. So the design compressive strength is coming around 92.96 Newton per mm square. Now, as per the code, I am taking the area of the cross section for resistance to be V1 plus N1 into Tw and multiplying this area with this stress will give me the allowable compressive strength of the web. Okay, allowable compressive strength of the web or the buckling resistance of the web, and it should be greater than the applied shear force or reaction force at the end of the beam. As it is greater, hence our section is safe for the buckling. So there will be no web buckling due to the reaction force at the end. Hence, okay. And the last step is check for web bearing. So what happened that for I section, due to heavy stress at the end, there will be some crippling of the web. So some deformation due to heavy load at the junction point of flange in the web. So for to avoid that, we have to provide bearing stiffener. But if our applied load is less than this, if our applied shear stress is less than Fw, then we do not have to provide. Fw's equation is written here: B1 bearing, we know 100 mm we have taken it, and 2 Tw, Fyw and gamma mm. Now N2. So you see in this diagram, this is slope of 1 is to 2.5. Okay. This much length is N2. Okay. What it is saying, length obtained by dispersion through the flange to the web junction. So this is the junction point. Okay. For the slope of 1 is to 2.5. Now this N2 is given by this equation: 2.5 into root radius plus flange thickness. Okay. So 84 mm will be the this value. This is 84 mm. Okay. 2.5 into root radius plus flange thickness. So when we getting N2 and V1, just have to put the whole into this equation and find out the local capacity of web at the connection to the flange. Okay, which is 439 kilonewton, greater than applied shear stress. Hence, web will not cripple, or the bearing of the junction point of web and flange is good enough to take care of the stresses. That's why our section is safe in all. Okay, so our section, chosen section, is safe for all. So let us revise it. First, we calculate the force, moment and shear. Then we check it. We select our section based on moment. We classify the section. After that, we check for the shear strength. Then we recheck for moment capacity. After passing this test, we check for the serviceability condition, that is reflection. Then we check for web buckling and crippling due to heavy reaction force at the end of the section. And as our section is passed in all, hence our design is completed. There are number of possible conditions may occur, such as our beam is not laterally restrained, or it may be possible that web failed in buckling, or moment capacity of the beam is inadequate, or shear strength is inadequate. In that cases, so the combination of this variety of different design can be seen. I cannot discuss it in some lectures, one lecture or something. But I cover these all things in my upcoming lectures that you can attend live. So we are going to start a live class for RCC design. Please feel free to join if you have any doubt. If you are working right now or preparing for the government job, or right now a student of civil engineering, or you are working but your concepts are not that much clear, you want to add something, or you are a researcher or want to do some research in the field but do not have basic ideas about the RCC, it's time to join, and we will discuss wide variety of design in RCC, and we will see how to optimize the design, how to design in the State Pro or Excel. We will discuss. It will be a wonderful interactive class. So please join me and please subscribe this channel for further updates. Thank you.